again, we're talking about leaders developing, why you need leadership development. Again, it's like this picture here. There are different stages and different phases that you're going to have to go through in order for you to be effective. And that's what we're going to break down, why you need leadership development, because you do. We need it in every stage that we are in. As a military member, I have been blessed with the opportunity that with every rank that I moved up to, from senior airman to, even if I, with my goal of aspiring to be a senior master sergeant and a chief master sergeant, that there is a level of leadership development that you're getting in each phase. And the reality is, a lot of organizations, they don't have that opportunity. A lot of new small businesses, they don't have that embedded in the culture. So that's why you might have to seek external means to get leadership development, because maybe it's not within your organization. So we're going to break that down, why you need it, and let's get into it. All right. So one of the first things that I want to highlight first is, what is a leader? A leader is the person who leads or commands a group, an organization, or a country. So that's what a leader is. So again, where it says a group, that group might be within your home. That's why I say leadership development applies in every aspect of your life, because if you are senior in a role, which means that you might be at home, maybe you're someone that doesn't have a family yet, and maybe you are still a leader within the home as you're the oldest. Like, there's leadership skills that you're going to need regardless of the stage you're in. So that's who a leader is. So I want to break down the definition of leader, and then we're going to talk about development. So if we look at what develop means, develop is a specified state of growth or advancement. So I like to connect that, break that down. So a leader is a person who leads or commands a group, organization, or country. But on the flip side, develop means it's a specified state of growth or advancement. So let's put that together. Someone who leads, and now they're in a specified state of growth or and advancement. Because again, in every stage that you're going to ascend to, that you're going to continue to progress in, you're going to need to develop to prepare for that. So even for me, now that I'm transitioning and I'm going into different phases within my business, within my military career, there's different phases and understandings and advancement that I need in regards to leadership, because it's a new phase, right? So that's why I wanted to break down the definition of leader and development, because again, that's that state of growth. And again, that leader is someone that leads or commands a group, organization, or a country. So again, this applies to someone that, and even I want to add an additional part, is that even you have to be able to lead yourself. There's a level of self-awareness that you need to have an understanding for in order for you to lead yourself. We'll continue to talk about that in a second. All right. So these are the things that were out there that talked about different traits of a leader. A leader should have different type of traits. So let's break that down a little bit. One of the first traits is communication. Now, communication is extremely important. And that's why I say leadership development is needed in all aspects, because we need to make sure that we're effective communicators. We need to be able that we can communicate with maybe the stakeholders, the shareholders, anybody that is in relation or connected to that individual, that leader. You need to be able to communicate even to the people that you support, even to the people who might be your higher ups, the people maybe within your organization. Hey, you're the leader in this role, but maybe you have to report to someone else. So communication is always the foundation of a leader, but that's one of the traits that's important as a leader. For you to be effectively in the area of communication, you need to be effective in that area. The next thing is the ability to adapt. Oh my goodness. I mean, we have to adapt all the time. What if something happens? Maybe you're on a journey. You're leading your organization, your team, you're leading yourself, and then something happens, and now you have been going straight one way, and now you have to pivot and go elsewhere. But you have to have the ability to adapt as a leader. That you have to be able to switch and change if it's needed. I mean, every day within my organization, every day within my business, maybe weekly, there might be something that happens, a change that happens, and now I have to make an adjustment. Now I have to adapt. So it's important that we recognize that we have to have the ability to adapt to change. So do you have that? And again, is that a skill that you have or something that you have to develop? So this is a second thing that you want to consider, that a lot of people, or with the study and the research out there, they say that leaders need to have the ability to adapt. So let's continue on. Relationship management. Now, this is really under the core of engagement because we have, again, depending on where you are in your leadership development or within your role as a leader, there are different relationships that you have to be able to manage effectively. You have your work relationships, you have your relationship with your team members, you have your relationship with your clients, you have a relationship with different people in different phases, or even, in a daily basis, you might have to communicate with so many different personalities and people that you have built a working relationship with. And again, even in the home, there's a level of relationship management that you need to have there as well. But that's another trait of a leader that is important to know how to manage, how to really ensure that you can influence and adapt, because there are a lot of research out there that says that a lot of leaders aren't comfortable with accountability. They're not comfortable with addressing conflict. So that's all within relationship management, to be able to have great relationship, but also be able to address things. And that also ties to communication. So a lot of these are connected. So relationship management is another trait that is out there that research shows that it's important for a leader to have. All right, innovative. Oh, this is so important. This is so important. I've been doing a leadership series on my podcast, and I've been talking about diversity, but I've been talking about it from the aspect of course, the racial aspect, which is, which again, that's the important area that needs to be addressed immediately. But we also talked about generational differences. We talked about ageism. We talked about all these different things that's important for us to understand and know in order to be innovative. We also need to be able to understand the shifts and the changes within our organization and how to transition into a more social media based type of leadership. A lot of leaders out there are having to engage their team members via, somewhere like Zoom, via some type of other platform, texting and utilizing these virtual means in order for us to connect. So there's a level of innovation you need to have as a leader. So are you being innovative? That's another trait that's important. And then lastly, and there are a ton others, but these were like the top ones that were highlighted: decision making skills. Are you effective in decision making? Are you taking too much on your plate? You need to make sure that you understand the importance of decision making. You might have 5 ideas in front of you. Which one is the best? Can you assess it effectively? Can you identify what to do? If you have a conflict, if you have somebody you have to address because they're being discriminatory, or maybe because they aren't functioning or managing their team effectively, there are decisions you have to make. So decision making skills are so important. So those are traits that most leaders should have. And there are aspects that you have to continue to develop as a leader. So are you effective in communication? Are you good at adapting? Is your relationship management up to par? Are you innovative? Do you have great decision making skills? But again, those are things that you have to consistently really develop. And sometimes you don't have all of these. So these are some new skills and new tools that you have to develop as a leader. And that's why you need leadership development. All right, let's continue. So, why do you need it, right? We're going to really break it down. I have this thing I call the LBRL process, okay, to kind of break down why you need leadership development. So, let's talk about the first one. The first one is being able to lead yourself. Leaders need to be able to lead themselves. So, out there, the statistics, the data shows that 83% of businesses say it's important to develop leaders at all levels. However, only 5% have it all at all levels. So 83%, that's a huge majority of businesses. I mean, I want to say it's 100%, right? It should be something that is at the forefront of your business. You have to be able to know that leadership development is important, but it's only available at only 5% at all the levels, right? But you have to be able to lead yourself. There's a level of awareness that you need as a leader in order for you to ensure that you're effective, because you could be a leader that needs some work, needs some development, needs some growth. And if you can't lead yourself, you're going to be ineffective at leading other people, or you're going to be hypocritical, or people are going to be looking like, okay, he wants to lead us, or she wants to lead us. However, comma, they have some gaps in their management. So it's so important that you identify and you're aware of the areas that you need to do to make sure you're leading yourself effectively. So those are things like strengths, right? Are you aware of your strengths? What are your strengths? What makes you great? What makes you effective as a leader? Are you aware of your blind spots? Because just like we have strengths, we all have blind spots, non-talents, those areas that we need to develop, right? Those are the things that we need to develop as a leader. Those are the things we need to be aware of, because if we do have a communication issue, If we do have an issue adapting, if we do have an issue decision making, that's a blind spot. So now that's something that we have to go seek it professional support, mentorship, guidance, so we can develop that skill so it can become effective. Because of course, a leader wears multiple hats. You're constantly having to do different things. So you have to be able to know and identify what your blind spots are. Also, what makes you great, what makes you stand out, what makes you the bomb.com, that trendsetting leader that really does amazing things. But again, we also have blind spots that have to always be developed, right? The next thing is areas of improvement. There are areas that we need to improve, and that kind of ties to blind spot. There are things that may be gaps or unconsciously that we don't know. I'm doing a training next month. I hope you guys sign up about unconscious bias and leading. Leadership is diverse. The future is diverse. And I'm going to be talking about why it's so important that we start to really consider diversity in so many different spaces, because that's going to be the shape of the next generation and so on and so on. So there are going to be multiple areas that you need to improve. Maybe it's within workplace management. It might not be with you, but it might be within something that you have to manage, something that you have to do. So you need to be able to identify that, you know what, I'm not good in this area. I'm not going to fake the funk. I'm going to go address it. So you need to be able to lead yourself. That is the basis, and that's the standard of being an effective leader, being able to lead yourself. All right, the next area, we need to be able to really be understanding and understand what's going to be required to lead a team. So if you're trying to build a team, you need leadership development. You need to understand what it takes to lead a team once you know how to lead yourself, right? So building a team is so important because again, that's going to be able to help you push your mission and vision. Maybe you're a small business owner, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a solopreneur, and you're seeing in the future that you want to have a major company, you want to have a big business. So you need to be able to understand what it takes to build a team, manage a team. So this data here from Forbes states only 14% of CEOs have the leadership talent they need to grow their business. Only 14%. Are they able to adapt, communicate, decision make, right? Do they have those skills? So if you're going to, again, it goes back to understanding you need to lead yourself. But now that you're moving into the lane where you want to build a team and you're like, I need to hire some people, do you have the understanding to fill the right gaps? Do you understand that, okay, I know within my business, I need someone analytical. I need someone that's results driven. I need somebody that's going to be this great marketer that knows how to connect the people and really great at relationship management. I need to know if I need to hire someone that is going to be a process improver. So you need to be able to understand and have the awareness of people so you can fill the right gaps. If you're creating a business structure or you're creating job ads and descriptions, you know that you might need, you have this area on lock. Maybe your marketing team is perfect, or maybe you have this area and it's at perfection. However, you need someone that's analytical, someone that's going to come in and make sure your systems are correct. So you need to be able to understand people because you need to fill the right gaps. And if you understand what your needs are, you'll know what people can fit into what role. You'll know what kind of interview questions to ask. The next thing is people EI. When I say EI, that's emotional intelligence. Just like you need to be aware of yourself and have emotional intelligence and understand how to influence your behaviors and how to really navigate and know how you show up in a room, you need to understand people emotional intelligence, how to manage your people, how to be aware of, okay, I've studied, I paid attention to how Sarah asks or how John asks, and I know that I need to communicate to him with him differently. I know he's motivated differently. I know that, if he shows up a certain way, I need to address him in this kind of way, and even for yourself. So you need a level of understanding of people so you can be able to manage effectively, and that's through emotional intelligence. You also need to know the great recruiting strategies. In my podcast, I've been talking about, again, diversity and inclusion and different ways that you need to ensure that when you're recruiting people, that you are ensuring that your job ads and how your website looks and how all that information is going to be pivotal, or even where you're recruiting and getting your referrals from. You need to be able to understand all those different factors, because yes, we could just put a job ad out there. We can maybe get referrals, but again, there's some specific things that you need to understand when you're building a team. And that's why you need leadership development, because leaders need to know how to strategize and identify how to pick the right people to fit the right roles. And now once you have them on your team, you need to be able to manage them effectively. So that's another reason why you need leadership development if you're thinking in the future, if even now you're considering starting to build a team. All right, let's move on to the next. Now, if you want to retain a team, just imagine you have the best team possible and you're like, I want to keep these individuals. And of course, we know individuals might want to transition and move on because of better opportunities, but you need to be able to retain your team. Data out there, I got this from Forbes as well. It says that 70% of employees in the US are unhappy in their jobs due to negative management. Sometimes people aren't aware or leaders aren't aware that their team members aren't happy. Maybe they're not paying attention. Maybe they're not identifying and they're really practicing that emotional intelligence and paying attention because now you have team members. You need to be able to really motivate them to stay, to want to produce, to want to make sure that they are pushing that mission and vision, just like they were when you initially built that team. So it's that maintenance plan, right? Because you've built the team. Now it's time to maintain that relationship. That's why that relationship management is important. That's why communication is important. So now in the area of retention, now that you have them there, how do you keep them there? How do you keep them motivated? And it's important that you understand engagement, the power of engagement, how to engage those team members of different behavior styles, right? Understand the culture and climate and how to make sure that is positive, that is something that people enjoy to be around, because there's studies out there that also show that people are more likely to take a lower paying job or even transition because they know that the climate and the culture of that next organization or that next business they're going to support or that next entrepreneur they're going to support is going to be more healthy. So you need to have an understanding of managing the culture and the climate and how and to make sure that it's healthy, right? Getting that healthy pulse. And needs assessment. I think this is extremely important because we build teams, we have team members, but we aren't ever making sure that their needs are met. Yes, you might not be able to give them a $10,000 raise. However, there are other things that you might be able to identify you can help them and support them in, so you can make sure their needs are supported in. Because if you're not supporting their needs, they might go elsewhere. They might decide that they want to go somewhere else that's going to cater to the health needs that they have. There may be health benefits, or maybe someone that is willing to invest so they can get further education. So we need to be able to assess the needs of our team members. Maybe they want you to communicate with them more. They want some additional coaching. So these are things you need to think about in regards to retaining a team. Now, the last one that I think is even highly important is if you've lost team members. This data out there says 79% of employees will quit their jobs due to a lack of appreciation from leaders. Remember my motto, I say that members and individuals, they typically don't transition or leave an organization because of the organization. They typically leave because of the leader. So if you've lost team members, you definitely need leadership development, because that's going to be an area of you re-strategizing for you to find out what is going on. Why can't I maintain the people here? Why can't I keep them motivated to stay? So it's in the power of understanding the feedback process, checking for individual gaps. And when I say individual gaps, that might be within yourself, that might be within the leadership team that you've hired to support those team members. Identifying the climate gaps. Remember, we talk about workplace culture and climate. Are there some gaps? Are there some areas that need to be addressed? Maybe there's only one specific team that is seeing a high retention rate, or excuse me, a low retention rate, and you need to address that team and find out what's going on and how it might be affecting the pulse of the organization or the company you support or the business that you're managing, right? Because again, if you're watching, you might be a leader where you are the CEO, or you might be in that management role, in that executive role. You might be someone that is with, you're supporting that CEO, but you're a leader as well. So it's identifying and re-strategizing and figure out, why are we having a retention issue? What things do we need to change? What do we need to identify? And it might be that there's some things, some major gaps in multiple areas that you're going to only find that that you're only going to find if you're developing yourself as a leader. And yes, it's like, man, this is a lot, but that's the reality. Being a leader, it allows you to really focus on a multitude of areas, but you need to be able to lead yourself. You need to get leadership development if you want to build a team, because it ties to people awareness. So you need that self-awareness for leading yourself. You need that people awareness for you wanting to build a team. The other thing, if you want to retain a team, it's that maintenance plan. How do I maintain this same type of energy that they had before? How do I really make sure that I keep them engaged and support them so they can stay, unless again, they're transitioning for a better opportunity? And lastly, if you've lost team members, you need leadership development, because it might require you starting from ground zero, from starting with looking at yourself, looking at your leaders, and identifying how are we going to make sure that the culture, the climate of this organization is effective. So these are the things that you want to consider. Why as to why you need leadership development. If you fall into one of these categories, you need to develop yourself as a leader. So it's just to close out, again, these are some things that you really want to consider. And if you guys go to my YouTube page, again, I kind of did a video to break this down. I'm going to drop a new episode every week. So this next week, episode 2, we're going to be talking about leading yourself and really getting into the weeds of that. So make sure you go check that out, and make sure that you follow me on social media, follow and subscribe on my YouTube page. And remember, team members don't typically quit their organization. They typically quit the leader. Let's not make that you. Let's make a change. Let's make a difference. So leadership development is something that you're going to do effective. You're going to be better at, because you have taken time to develop yourself as a leader. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for tuning